The story was written as a warning. Whoever kills wisdom dies, even if his body survives.
In a distant age, when kingdoms were ruled by steel and fear, there stood a great realm, powerful in walls, yet fragile at its heart. King Yunan, master of the throne and terror of his enemies, a man who had never bent to battle, now lay defeated by an unseen illness. No wound marked his body, no name could be given to his pain. Day after day, the king faded, while hope slipped quietly from the palace halls. Physicians came from every land. They opened ancient books, burned rare herbs, whispered desperate prayers, but the sickness did not move.
Yes, pack your bags and leave. The palace belongs to me now.
Then, on a night heavy with silence, as torches trembled in the wind, a stranger appeared at the palace gates. No one knew his name. No one knew his past. He carried a staff shaped by long journeys and a book older than memory itself. He walked not with haste, but as if the palace had been waiting for him. Ministers trembled as he passed. Shadows followed his steps. Before the king, the stranger bowed, not in fear, but in knowing. And in his eyes burned a quiet certainty, a promise, or perhaps a warning. Did this man come bearing salvation, or was his wisdom the beginning of the end?
By night, the wise healer examined King Yunan in silence, reading his illness not through wounds, but through signs unseen by ordinary men. The ministers gathered around him, their words sharp with threat and doubt. Yet Rouyan said nothing. He withdrew into the shadows, returning to his chamber to prepare a cure unlike any the world had known. No potion to drink, no ointment to swallow. A remedy of herbs and hidden mixtures meant not for the stomach, but for touch alone. Within a wooden staff, the healer carved a hollow space, sealing the medicine inside. With every use of the staff, strength would slowly return to the king. At dawn, Rouyan returned to the palace. He bowed before King Yunan, not in fear, but in respect and quiet certainty. The staff was placed in the king's hands, and as the king began to use it, he felt power awaken in his veins once more. But where hope rises, envy follows.
The truth, Minister, often reveals itself in the stillness between words.
What?
The corrupt minister began his scheme, whispering that the healer had grown too close to the throne, that he must disappear. Rouyan sensed the betrayal.
You must not leave this chamber alive.
Closed in.
The moment is at hand.
Yet each time the king touched the staff, strength returned again. The game had begun. In the days that followed, hope returned to the palace. King Yunan felt strength slowly rise within him, and each time his hand touched the wooden staff, life seemed to flow back into his veins. But in the shadows, envy was already at work. The minister watched in silence, his loyalty nothing more than a mask, his thoughts sharpened by ambition and fear. He moved closer to the king, planting doubt where faith once lived. A careful whisper, a quiet question, and trust began to weaken. Yet the healer remained unchanged. Rouyan stood before the throne, calm and unmoved, his confidence rooted not in power, but in certainty. He knew the pure did not live in the wood, but in belief itself. As night fell, dark intentions took shape. While the palace slept, a hand reached toward the staff, and betrayal drew closer with every step. Unaware, the king rested, and in the silence of the night, a choice was made that would change every fate. The poison was no longer in the body, it was in the heart. After the minister slipped into the king's chamber, stealing the staff, poisoning it in silence. At dawn, the palace awoke not to light, but to chaos. The minister accused the healer of treason, claiming the staff was cursed.
He stands before you, a viper in healer's robes, poisoning the very trust of our kingdom.
That the king's recovery was nothing but a passing illusion. Rouyan was dragged into the great hall, bound in chains, yet his face knew no fear. The king commanded the ultimate test. "If you speak the truth," he said, "the staff will not harm you." Rouyan smiled and reached out his hand. The moment Rouyan touched the staff, he collapsed. Cries filled the hall. The king fell to his knees. The healer was executed in the square, his blood spilled unjustly. And that very night, the disease returned to the king, fiercer than before. In silence, the king stared at the broken staff and understood the truth far too late. Days did not pass before the minister's crime was revealed. The truth came to light. The cure had been altered, and the healer had died innocent. The minister was brought before the king, but vengeance healed nothing. The king withdrew from judgment, alone with a body still weak and a heart now shattered. At sunset, Rouyan was laid to rest. The staff was buried beside him, the tool of healing, silenced by fear and betrayal. The healer's writings were gathered, and among them one final truth was found. The true cure worked only when the heart was free of hatred. The king changed his ways. He ruled with justice, abandoned cruelty, and restored balance to his realm. His body healed, but the mark of the healer remained. The story was written as a warning. Whoever kills wisdom dies, even if his body survives.